Hi everyone, the following video is a recording from our first artist feedback AMA session featuring pre-minted NFT editions. The session was held in the MetaJungle Discord on May 26 and hosted by talented photographers and active MetaJungle members Mike Schmidt and Dan Hawk. We want to thank Mike and Dan for their time and review of 10 different pre-minted NFT editions and providing valuable feedback covering the topics of promoting, pricing, marketing, and curating your NFT editions. We want to also thank everybody who submitted their work for review and everyone that was able to attend. We hope you find this useful, and with that, let's dive on in.
I think maybe we could start off by just talking a little bit about additions and what they've done for the market that we're in right now, and
Yeah.
what are like some advantages of them, and you know, I think price point is a huge advantage for additions right now, in a bear sort of downtrend market. I think it's amazing that we've been able to keep art collecting alive during this downtrend. I mean, without additions, we could have just seen a lot of just like real loss of morale and depression and stuff in the space. But instead, we've sort of come together in the space and figured out how to implement additions, which I think now are going to be permanent in the space. They're not
Mm.
going to one of ones are not going to go away or anything like that. But I think for the time being, it's been a great way for artists to be able to collect more work from people. It's so cool right now to see how many artists are collecting pieces, Dan, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the things that's interesting is that we talked about. I think a lot of people talked about that you'd see this art and you think, hey, that's really beautiful, but I don't have the ETH to buy it. And this is great because it is allowing us to support each other. But it one of the things that I find most interesting, the edition that I just wrapped up, I just landed a whole bunch of new collectors a few that I had never met before, but also a few that I had been talking with, and this allowed them to kind of put their feet in the water, if that makes sense.
Bingo, man. Yeah,
With me.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
that's
Where they
huge.
maybe they weren't ready to drop 0.25 or zero point 0.5, but this is an easy way for them to go, oh cool, I get to get in on supporting this artist that I like. And I have found the same thing. I have a couple different pieces that I bought during kind of the last couple weeks that are from artists that I really love, and I there was not a way that I was going to be able to afford one of their one-on-ones.
Yeah, and think about it. So those artists, like, and I did the same thing. I purchased probably 10, 15 editions in the last week or two. Those artists are like now on my radar because they're in my vault, and I'm not going to forget about them because they're in my vault. And on the flip side, our editions that we sold and we've generated all these new collectors, we're now on their radar for when something else that we have comes out. So it's a great way to put art in the hands of more people, but not only that, expand like your collector base so that more people have eyes on this.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting few weeks seeing
Yeah,
this
I agree.
come together, right?
Well, I think one other part and we'll get into this a little bit, is that there's all kinds of strategies for, because some people just go, hey, I just make art and it's what it is, and the utility is now you own my art. Now you own a copy of my art. And for other people, they want the additions to carry some additional utility. And I know that's been that's something I've done, because like for me personally, I wanted to connect it through to my larger body of work. So I chose to kind of say, hey, there's some additional utility involved here. But but that doesn't have to be the way you do it. And in large part, your pricing and how many you choose and what kind of token you create, that all of those things play into how this thing is viewed, not only as a standalone piece in your portfolio, but also in relation to everything else you've made.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there is an ability to add utility with your additions to kind of give people more incentive to say, oh wow, this person has an a one of one I wanted to buy, and they're, someone from today just had submitted, and it was like, the first six people, because they have six one of ones left, will receive 50% off of that one of one, and so then maybe that's the push that gets the person to buy it. Outside of it being good art and the price cheap, it now has like some utility that relates back to clearing out their one of one inventory, and so like that's the goal for many artists, is to like have work out there, have a bunch of work out there, but have a bunch of sold work, and not just unsold work. So how can use your unsold work as an incentive to get rid of it, to make sales on your secondary market, and there's all sorts of strategies. That's one other thing that's really big, is that the secondary is a much larger market with additions, because the liquidity. It's much easier for someone to sell something at 0.02 or 0.03, and then someone to do a secondary sale and say, well, I didn't get in on the first 20 or 30, but someone has one for sale now for 0.04, and then and then the next person buys it for 0.06, 0.08. You don't see that a lot with one of ones, because the price point already starts very high. So you can look at a lot of successful artists in the space, some of the most successful ones, and they might not have made a secondary sale on one of ones in a couple of months even. So it's a really nice way to push secondary.
Exactly. Well, why don't we dive in? We've got we got a bunch of work to look through, and I will tell you, as much as people have said, "Hey, this slideshow looks great," I'm just going to tell you it's kind of ghetto. So it may be a little hard to read, and just let me know if there's something you want me to look at closer. And with that said, let's dive in.
Yeah, I'm confident we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So our first, and some of these, like the formatting's a little weird, but so Harini is our first selection here, and I think it would be great to just dive in here. First of all, this is our image, really beautiful, isolated image of this flower, and I'm just going to dig through here a little bit. The stuff that we asked everybody to submit was, and some of this is just where the image lives, their Twitter handle, that sort of stuff. But this is from a curated award-winning flower edition. Mommy's got your back. Mother is a word which fills everyone with emotions. When the child is born, a mother is born, and from that moment onwards, her life revolves around her child. Mom knows how to make things better. It doesn't matter what she's dealing with, she will still always find a way to make the situation better for the child. I'm a mom of a 5-year-old and an 8-month-old. My kids are everything to me. As we do not plan to have any more kids, this June, it will be my first birthday with my complete family with me. And to celebrate this special day and year, I want to share this image that is very special to me in the world. This image, Mommy's Got Your Back, is dedicated to my kids. This image helped me win gold medal and was published in 2020's Loan Collection Book for Professional Photographers of America. The Loan Collection Book exhibits the best of the year from the International Photographic Competition. And then these right here are the things that were going to be included in the properties. Here's our potential price. And then we talked about, this is the ideas for what places, what marketplaces and places that we potentially would see this one minted.
So is Sloika possible, Dan, for editions?
Sorry. Right now, I don't think it is. Because Sloika is all ERC 721s, and I know you can do editions with 721s, but I don't think Sloika has editions right now. Yeah, so that's why it was great. She said, if possible, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful image. Wow, really nice. I see this one selling out really fast. It's really gorgeous minimalism, and you could see all the texture and detail and the actual flower, and the background is a beautiful color contrast to the image, and I like how it's got this. I don't know. It's like the background is not fully the same color as it has this sort of, it bleeds off to like two different colors.
It's kind of like a deep red.
Yeah, so it's really great, and I love the story behind it too. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a little modest on the actual edition size and price. To be honest, I mean, I think you could probably do an edition of 20 on this at 0.034. I
Yeah.
think it would sell. I think it would sell out at that. To be honest, I think the quality of the work is good enough, and I think that this artist's presence and the people that will retweet and help with this, I think it's a little modest. I think because well, if you times it, if you do the math by 16, it's 0.544 if this were a one of one. Now, granted, a good way to price your additions is to try to kind of figure out what your valuation is for your one of ones and to add a little bit, I think. I think you could add a little bit on top of that too,
Right.
just because of the sentiment of the market right now and the fact that a lot of more people have access to buy it, and they sort of go viral a lot quicker than a one of one does.
Yeah,
Be my
I
opinion.
agree. I agree. I'm just going to pull up just because I think we've already looked at her work before. Maybe I was with Sarah. I think I might be with Sarah.
Yeah. Look at
But
them all collected.
this
Collected.
is the
Lots of collected.
context though for this work, right?
Hmm. I think the addition is probably the strongest of all of these. I think these are all really strong, but I think the addition is really strong.
I
I think
like that
that's a good choice.
I like that it feels like you still look at it and you go, oh yeah, this is still the same artist, and yet it
Hmm.
is unique. I like that, and so I would kind of think about it this way, um, in terms of pricing editions. Harini, what I would probably do is look at what you sell your one of ones for, and then think about, is this, when you sell this collection out, you probably want to land yourself at a place where, you know, if you sell half of them, you're going to make a little, as much or more than your one of ones. So maybe that's a way to kind of think about your pricing and your number of editions.
Well, right now it would be more, right? So
Yeah.
because it would be a little bit more than a half of an ETH at 16 editions.
Right.
I just personally think that with the quality of work and their sort of presence, I think they could get away with 20. I think
Yeah,
they can get
I
away with
agree.
20 editions at 0.034 and make a little bit more capital and add a little bit more collectors to their collector base.
Yeah, at 20 editions, at that, even at this price you have it listed at, you'd make, that would be a full, be
Yeah.
1/8. But also, just having just finished one, I'll just tell you that, um, as much as I was excited that I was like, okay, this is great. I ended up, gifting and trading a couple, with other artists. So I think it's good to just know that, give a little slush, right? You know that, three or four, you might actually not get paid for them, or you might give them away, or there might be some other thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
But I
about
think,
this too. I'm sorry, this is a huge advantage. I just thought about when you sell a one of one and you get a collector that's nice enough to post about that, it does a lot for you because it reaches out to their audience. Now, if you sell 20 editions and 20 of those people repost about you, now you're spider webbing out to 20 people's audience to see your work. That's another huge advantage of editions right now too, is that people love talking about how they just picked up a new edition.
yeah, I agree. So I don't know that we'll do, how do you, yeah, this is great. This is really great work. I love seeing it in context as well with her other work. Anything else you want to add about this one, Mike?
She didn't provide any questions or anything, right? No, I mean, I think it's really good. I like how she added, the awards and stuff at the end and not in the beginning.
Yeah,
I think that's important. Um, I think it's really well thought out. I think it's a really good piece. I think the price is really right. I think you have some room, and I think you could do 20 if you wanted to. And I'd surely help.
I would
I'd
definitely do
surely help
20.
promote it.
I would say I think that's a very strong recommendation. I would say 20 would be a great place to land this.
Yep.
And I would bump the price a little bit too. I would say probably 0.04 at minimum.
Yeah, you can do that for sure.
One more thing to think about from a pricing perspective: are there any people that you're giving early access to? Because if you are, you may want to say, hey, if you buy it early, you get the 0.034, and then if you buy it at public mint, you get 0.04.
Great point. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea to have a lot of your work sell in a pre-sale before you even drop it, because then you've built momentum for the other artists and buyers to see that there's only a certain amount left and then to pick those up easily.
We should talk about that as we progress through here, about what the promotion stuff looks like, because I think it'll come up for sure. But let's
Sure.
You ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay,
good.
Great. Okay, so our next artist here is Keaton Kirchner, and the piece here is called "Light to Rule the Night." And I mean, what a cool, you've got the star trails, you've got the blood moon, partial lunar eclipse. This is fantastic. So, and I'm just gonna read through here. And also, I just noticed Harini's typing in the chat, so I just want to make sure there's not.
Yeah, and if you get tired of reading, then I can read some stuff too.
I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this. Okay, so Keaton Kirchner editions. This star streaked sky is my Genesis edition, a once every 600-year eclipse frozen in time forever. It's called Light to Rule the Night. This partial lunar eclipse was shot in November 2021, and it lasted over 3 hours, making it the longest eclipse in nearly 600 years. I sat on the edge of a farmer's field in the middle of the night for 2 hours waiting for the climax of the eclipse to occur. 5 stages of the eclipse are shown. The fourth at the center of the circling stars is the point at which the halo of light from Earth's shadow engulfs 97% of the moon. Although it was one of the longest eclipses to occur, the fifth stage shows how quickly the climax of the eclipse came and left. Many would have seen parts of the eclipse through the night, but few would have watched this exact moment unfold, let alone capture it. There's a typo there. The title of this edition is a small excerpt from the Bible verse Genesis 1:16. Like my Genesis collection, he made the rocks. It only seemed fitting to connect Genesis to my first edition. My faith plays a major role in how I view nature, and directly as a result, what I create as a Christian artist. This title is a representation of how I view nature. That is, God made it all. And then looks like we've got some property types. So adventure type, country, location, season. Looks like 32 pieces in this edition. The proposed price is 0.01 ETH. Looking at doing it on OpenSea. And then owning this edition along with one piece from the Genesis collection will provide a significant discount to owners for a future drop. One with more pieces than the Genesis collection to encourage secondary sales. And there's a couple questions, so we'll get into that in a minute. But let's talk about this one. I think first of all, you and I both agreed that probably price is too low on this one.
Yeah, I think at 0.01, you're getting into this territory, even when gas is low, that the price is almost close to the amount of the gas price. And then also it's just, yeah, I don't know. There's something about 0.0. The lowest I'd probably go is 0.02. And so then if you wanted to go 0.02, then you could do 16 editions instead of 32, and then you end up with the same amount of ETH. But I mean, if we do the math on this anyway, let's see, it's let's say 0.01 times 32. That's 0.32. So 0.32 ETH. So then something that I noticed was that when I went to the actual artist's OpenSea account, they sell one of ones for 0.05. So I thought that was an important distinction to make when I went to their OpenSea.
Yeah,
because
you guys can
that's
see that.
it's a really low price to have a one of one listed out and so there's only one owner. And if I look at activity, get an idea, that was 21 days ago. Not sure exactly when the when this work was minted, but I think that we need to look at the fact that, if you haven't sold one of ones at 0.05, then there's probably some other lessons to learn in the strategy of, building relationships, marketing yourselves, having a presence within the community, talking about your work on Twitter, being involved in different Discord groups and such, and sharing your work. Because if it poses a question that if you aren't selling a one of one at 0.05, then how is your edition series going to sell out at 32 editions if you don't
Yeah.
have that reach or that engagement? So I think that's a really important thing to talk about.
See, and this is one thing that's been interesting. So, Mike, I'm just going to say flat out, you crushed selling your collection of editions a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
I mean, like they were almost all gone before you even public listed anything. And I was stoked that you reached out and I was able to buy one before they were all gone. But I think people watching editions sell, they don't see the behind the scenes. And so I only sold 25 of mine, but it did sell out, and I'm pretty stoked because that's the first thing I've ever sold out, which is so that's like a big bump to my ego. But
Fantastic image,
well, thanks. And it's one of those things where I think people go, oh well, I'm not getting any traction. And I have been saying, and I know it's a privileged place to be able to say it, but I put a lot of work into all of the communication beforehand. And I think you can vouch for the fact that I reached out to you directly and said, hey man, this is available. Is it something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely. And at the time I didn't have the time I didn't have the ETH, but I was like, I love this image. And then once I had the ETH, I purchased it. So it's obviously a good step to reach out to those people and say, hey, no pressure, but like I have this piece out, it's this price, or I'm in pre-sale right now, and getting the idea of some of the people's heads that you have a piece coming out, and if they like it, it's really really good that they buy before buy within pre-sale, because like obviously it builds that momentum that when it comes out, it creates that FOMO where people are like, oh, I want to get this, and it's not unrealistic or inauthentic FOMO because it's a great photograph, but it adds FOMO because it's selling out, and that's just the way the market works. And so
Right.
you said, people don't see like the behind the scenes, and like just to give a little idea of like the behind the scenes of my collection, Lost in Transit body of work. I mean, I was teasing with images for 3 months, maybe more than that, before I even decided to drop that. And then speaking with a lot of different collectors about the work, and sending a Dropbox link of 40 images to the collectors and asking them how the work makes them feel and stuff like that. And then also getting with some people, because I'm not a marketing master. I'm an artist, but I have people on my side, and people that I've networked with that are really really good at marketing and understanding drop strategies and stuff, and getting with them, and then taking feedback from different people, and seeing what works for me, and then creating that incentive that I did with bundling all 20 of the images to collectors, and giving it to them at a bundle price, which is a little bit less than if they were to buy them all individually, and one gas cost transaction. So that was
Right.
just one strategy that you can do, and it happened to work out really well. And the incentive was that if you bought the first round bundle from me, that you have access to every round thereafter. So my collection right now is 20 images at 10 editions each with 200 NFTs, but by the end it'll be 100 images at 10 editions. It'll be 1,000 NFTs. And so if the collectors want, they could literally own the entire 100 images from the collection
Yeah.
if they bought the first bundle round. It allows them to do it every round.
So,
So that's a lot of
yeah.
stuff that happened behind the scenes. It's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that people didn't see, like you said, where it's like, if you're going to come out with this 32, talking about the artist now, Keaton, if you're going to come out with this 32 images, what are you doing right now to prepare that? You know,
Right. Well, and this is one thing I'm going to step. I've been telling people this for the last few weeks, and I had to learn this the hard way myself. If you just surprise drop something onto Twitter, what you're doing is you're completely relying on the algorithm of Twitter and your own reach over, like, at one moment in time. But if you start to share the image and you start to reach out to people behind the scenes, then you're allowing them to engage with it earlier, to see it multiple times. You're getting a chance to maybe get into their feed a few different times, maybe getting your friends a chance to retweet it. I just think that we there's this very real sense. I know it's an overused term, but the sense of FOMO, that you go, everybody's doing editions, I have to get my edition out. I even struggle with that because I had mine ready to go a good week before I released it, but I spent that week reaching out to people and getting in touch with people who had collected from me before, people who I had been talking to that I knew were collectors, other artists that were friends that I know potentially, sometimes buy affordable pieces from people. And so I think all of that footwork ahead of time, give yourself the time to launch it right. If you just go, I've got a new piece of work, here you go, it's ready. I guarantee you it's not going to be received as well, and not as many people are ever going to see it.
true, very
So
true.
in this
Preparation.
case, Keaton, it's a great image. My gut is that when I look at your actual imagery, so when I go pull up, your imagery, I think these are probably they're priced lower than where they could be, and I know that maybe you go, oh, I haven't gotten traction on it at this price, but I think this price, these are really beautiful pieces. So maybe if you're marketing better, you could raise the price on these, which would allow you to then charge a slightly higher price. Maybe you split the difference and you go like 0.025 or 0.03, and get you kind of halfway to what you're charging for the one of ones. And I would also say 32, I think, is probably too large of a number. I would bump the price a little bit and drop the number down. And my gut, let me just say this, Mike just dropped, how many total pieces were there in your
200.
Yeah, so there's
200.
200 pieces from Mike. Mike has a big following and has a lot of connections and has been doing this and has a lot of sales history. I do not have as much as Mike's, and I sold an edition of 25, and it took me about a week and a half. I've seen other people, my friend Win Magsino, he sold out a collection of 50, I think it was 50 or 48 or something like that, and he sold it out within a couple days. So I think that it's really good for you to think about that 32 might be too large of a number because you don't have enough sales history to drum up the interest in it. But I think slightly higher price, lower number might actually be a better strategy.
Yeah, in the meantime, I would raise the price. Yeah, like I would raise the price on your one of ones. Because otherwise, if your one of ones is so close to the price of a one of 32, why is anybody going to buy your one of ones?
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, I think 32 is a lot, because if you don't have traction on your current supply of work, then a lower number is definitely going to be better, because higher number, harder to sell out.
Yeah, I agree.
Takes longer. Yep.
I love the image, and
Me too.
good luck on this one. And I'm just going to say this up front here too. Please, I am willing to retweet and share every one of your editions as you release them and as you start drumming up interest. So please send me the link,
Me
DM
too.
me, whatever, get in touch, and I'm happy to share those for you as you get ready to drop this stuff.
Thanks to Fat Dan. Me too. Of course, me too.
You ready to move on to the next one?
I think so. I think that I think perfectly said everything on this one. Mhm.
All right. Next one is Akshay Updaya. Hopefully I'm saying that right. um, so this piece is called Soaking in Solitude. Um, Upon the silent and vast elevations of great mountains, one experiences a sense of solitude like no other. High above the entanglements of modern day life, amongst the colossal manifestations of nature, pervades a pull to be in commune with it. As a human, a form of life in the symphony of the earth, to see, to listen, to feel, to thoroughly enjoy the simple transactions of the living world. On this cold morning, I woke up early, way before anybody else, and brought myself out of the tent. It was still dark. There was a faint glow far east corner of the sky. Getting in my morning stretches while respiring the fresh air, I noticed that the colors grew in the sky. Immediately rushed into our tent, I fixed my camera gear and climbed to a vantage point in front of the giant mountain. In the other corner, I found a guy as well, soaking in and relishing the meditative moments. There were only two of us in the entire vicinity, and the birds had just started to chirp. Colors from the alpenglow induced a warm glow to the landscape and a treat to the eyes. I then took this shot using a telephoto lens to compress the mountain in the background with the human to introduce a sense of scale to the vast landscape. Also, I happened to meet this person later to show him the photograph. He loved it and answered with a warm smile. Captured in Garhwal, Himalayas, Uttarakhand, India, in September 2019. This photograph by Akshay Updaya has been published in several social media outlets and magazines, including Asian Geographic and National Geographic India. And then the our properties, artist license, location, edition size. Edition of 12 at 0.025 ETH. Looks like there's some extra stuff, 10% discount on all existing, early access to future drops. And then the questions were, is the description lengthy? Is there room for improvement? Does the photograph stand out as an addition that you'd want to consider collecting? Go, Mike.
I I love this image. This is so good. Such a good photograph. Beautifully way to show the scale. I love the story too. I don't think it's too much information actually. I like how you kind of brought us to that morning and let us know like all the stuff that was happening and all the adjectives you used to kind of describe the atmosphere and kind of beautiful how you captured the man. You know, without the man, it's a great photograph. It's a really good photograph, but with the man, it's a great photograph. I think this is it's a really beautiful one. I think I liked how you put the awards at the end, and I think once again it's a little modest. 12 editions at 0.025. I think this is a really good edition. I think you could do 12 editions at, 0.035 or maybe, you can mix around the math and stuff. I don't know. How do you feel, Dan?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just pulled up the other work. Yeah, my gut on this, and I think we're kind of leaning this way. Let me actually while we're talking here, I just want to go over and look at. Sorry here.
So 0.025 times 12 is zero point 0.3, right? And so, we could sell a one of one, like a beautiful one of the one image like this, probably easily for zero point 0.3, right? And so you go through all this work of these incentives and making these additions and such in a market that's like hyper bullish on additions. I just think you could get a little more than zero point 0.3 for this. Yeah, I think it's a little modest. Either the number goes up to 20 or the price comes up to 0.035, 0.04, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to agree. I just wanted to look at the sales history and I had reviewed this the other Himalayan gold collection,
Mm.
and it's gorgeous work. I don't remember who I reviewed it with, but
We reviewed it together. I
was it
remember
you and me?
that
Okay, so
one.
0.15 and 0.18 is what the prices were on those other ones. So
Yeah.
this one, I agree. I would say I would bump this up a little bit. I like the idea of keeping it under 0.1. So in that, 0.04, 0.05 range. Always, this is I know I'm just stuttering over my own words here. I don't think you need to go any lower than 0.03 on editions right now. Like
Yeah.
realistically, guys, think about it. That's like $80. This is this is like somebody buying, a nice 8x12 metal or backed and ready to go print. This is not that expensive. It's a great access point for people to get into your work. So I just don't think you need to go any lower than like 0.03.
I did do it the other day with that Chinatown edition, but it was an edition of 50. And I did
Yeah.
it at 0.02 on a day where gas was like obnoxiously low. Like transferring an NFT was like $1.25 or $1.50 USD. And so I sort of did it as an experiment, and I didn't think that they would all sell out, but they did. You have to understand what your reach and engagement is. I did it as like a surprise drop, and it was just one of those days where like Twitter was just kind of dead and morale was like down, and I think people were like, "Oh, 0.02." I think it was 40. I
Yeah.
think it was like 40 something dollars to get it, and it was a great addition. I would say it was something I'd list as one of my top one of ones, and I think that's an important thing. Is that the image more than anything else is really important, and so when I see this image by Akshay, this beautiful image, I'm automatically bullish on it because if I have the ETH when this comes out, I'm gonna buy it. Like so, and if I'm telling you that you could raise the price a little bit on it, or you could raise your edition size, then that's bullish because that means I'm willing to spend more money to
Yeah.
even purchase it. So the, the quality of the work is really important to me.
Well, here's some context too. This is as high quality as the work that you're selling as one of ones.
Yeah.
Maybe even better.
I think even a little bit better because of the
Yeah.
element of that person and the story.
So think about this. If you sell 12 of these at 0.025, I don't think you're charging enough. I would probably bump the price. I would bump the number of editions just a little bit, maybe even like 15 if you want to keep it conservative and sell it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I think this is a great piece of work once again, and actually is just a solid human being. So thanks for being here.
Well,
Thanks for submitting.
so it's 10% discount on all existing ones. If you buy this, you can get a 10% discount on this other one of ones that are not priced that high. You get early access to his future drops. So,
Yeah,
and we answered the questions. The photographs stand out. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, we answered all the questions. So
I like it.
that's really me too.
Let's move on. Okay, next artist is Jose Casal, and this one print is a little smaller on this one. um, Jose Casal is a multi-award-winning fine art photographer, waterscapes, and long exposure enthusiast based in Spain. His work is present in public and private collections. He had received over 70 awards in national and international competitions. He had several only expedition in Spain and participated in numerous group exhibitions. With Love is a special edition to celebrate my 1-year anniversary in the NFT space. I love to explore the lake, searching for cool subjects for my works. I spent a lot of time in Google Maps trying to find rests of fishermen activities, sunken boats, ships, nets, jetties. Other times I just explore my favorite spots to see if there is something new or how the passage of time affects this objects. During the more than 10 years I've been exploring lakes, the pink missile is the strangest and most wonderful thing I've ever found. In my first year in the NFT space, I've been able to connect with wonderful people, artists, and collectors from whom I've received a lot of love. And With Love is for all of you. Those of you who have trusted my work, those who inspire me every day with your art, because only love can save the world. Edition looks like 30, taken in 2022, location France. We've got the size, we've got the genre, and then we've got a some licensing language. And it looks like he's looking at charging 0.03 on this one.
Yeah, so that's an accumulated amount of 0.9, so almost 1 ETH.
Yeah. Okay. So early access to future collection discount available for one of ones. What do you think about the size and price? Okay. So first of all, I'm just gonna say I love his work. I'm
Can we
I'm a
look at his
fan.
work outside? Can we look at his
Yes.
work outside of the?
Yeah, here we go. Here's one of them. This is the one he linked to.
Yeah, I remember this.
But I'm gonna
I want to see. I want to see a bunch. I want to see a bunch of his work too.
yeah, I'm gonna go to the other one because the other one I think 10 Ghosts in a Shell.
Wow.
I immediately think of this one when I think of his work.
Whoa.
And this is sold out.
Sure. So I'm just going to be honest on this one. I think that these works that are sold out are stronger than the With Love piece. I think it's because they're this. I think that he's a minimalist. Obviously, makes minimal work, and those shots are like just absolutely. This is more work of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are really, really true, beautiful minimalism to me, and they speak to me without a word on a rocket. To be honest, I think it might be the actual text that makes the image less powerful for me, and maybe it's there's a bit of there's a bit of a lack of context here, right? So I guess it looks like it's floating in the water and the rest of the sky, and it all becomes one, but I don't know that this cardboard rocket or whatever it is the subject that is strong enough to exist within this minimal piece for me. And maybe that's just my opinion, but his work that's sold out and his other work, the color work that you just pulled up, I think I would go with, yeah, this is not sold out. I think I would go with one of these instead as the addition piece. I think there's some really great stuff here.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's my thought. I get it. I don't dislike the image. I actually like it. But this is one of the things that's kind of odd about editions. Uh, this is kind of what I've worked through is that editions should be like your one of one signature work, but unique enough that it makes sense for it to be an edition and not a in your one of one collection.
Smart. Yeah.
And to me, this one, while I like the image, I don't know that it's identifiable enough as a Jose Casal. That's just kind of my gut. And simply because when I see this, it's fairly obvious who took all these.
That's a great way to say it. That it's not exactly clear that that's a Jose Casal. I like that because this is clear that it's a Jose Casal. His stuff in the snow is clear that it's a Jose Casal. The color stuff is clear that it's a Jose Casal. But the with loves of it. So let's look at this. Can you price these high to low? This Waterworld collection. Let's see what he prices the highest, because that's what he deems to be some of the best, I would assume.
Well, and these might be.
These are other people pricing it secondary. So what hasn't sold that's priced the highest? Okay, so it's like all sold out?
Yeah, I can't really tell.
Well, if it says last, it means it's sold.
Yeah. Looks like this is. Yeah, it looks like this is it sold out? I can't really tell. Yeah, this is sold out.
Oh my gosh, he did. So this artist is really doing well. Yeah, that's a huge collection to have sold out.
Yeah, there's a few here that are. I don't know if these were, if they're not listed or if. Let me just click on one and we'll take a look. So this one he still has.
Oh my god!
Maybe he's dropping. Maybe he's only releasing them for sale occasionally. But
I love that. Yes.
But this is kind of where I would lean into. It would be to think about, does it make sense for you to take one of these pieces that's not sold and turn that into the edition? Because there's just some, and here's maybe an interesting piece. I know you've sold a bunch of color work, but maybe something that has these radiating super long exposure patterns, but has a different color vibe than what you usually do. That could be a way to do it.
So maybe the best thing he could do is send me and you like a DM as a group message and show us some other examples of stuff that he would be willing to break down into an edition. Because while I like this image, I'm not blown away sold on this image like I am some of his other work.
I agree, and I
And I
think
want to keep it completely transparent and fair by being honest.
that's something you and I have done pretty consistently. As we've gone and looked at other people's other work to say,
Yeah.
okay, how does this fit? And if we're going to try to give you the best feedback we can, the feedback for me, and it's interesting because MB Stewart said in the chat they really like the With Love theme as a thank you to collectors. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I would try to choose an image that has a little more of your own vibe in it, a little more that speaks to who you are. That's my thought. And we're getting disagreements in the chat, right? Which is okay. That's okay. I think it, and Mauricio is saying, do you think it should be something a little different from his body of work? I would say yes, different, and yet his style is so unique.
So Tom said, but the pink rocket is like a tribute to the space. You broke up from me there, Dan. What'd you say?
Oh, I saw that there's a couple comments saying that they really like the idea, and that shouldn't it be something a little different. I don't disagree with that. I just think that it'd be interesting to try to find a way to have something that is slightly unique, but still also resembles your other work. And Jose, you might be listening to this and going, "That's exactly what I did. What's wrong with you guys?" which is legit.
Yeah, and
But
so
I'm
like
just, yeah, I'm just saying.
yeah, I mean, and you know, in the go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I would like something a little bit more like what you typically do.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, you could say, you know, don't you agree that it should be something different? This, you know, sure, whatever. You know, I'm never going to stray from my own opinion because of a consensus within a chat disagrees with me. Though my initial thought when I saw it was this is okay compared to his other work, which I find really dreamlike and fascinating to me. And I don't know it's because it's spelled out with love to me, and the other work spelled out things to me without actually having to have any text at all. And I loved that minimalism about his own work. And so, you know, my opinion will definitely stay my opinion, you know, on
Yeah.
this one.
And I'm assuming, I'll just throw
But
this
you
out there,
know,
assuming that
maybe and
is
if that's
was
the
live,
case, then maybe you should release that one.
yeah, is With Love. The other question I would have is the text, was it on the rocket or did you add it?
He said, "I don't love the font." LOL. Yep, I don't either. I
Yeah.
don't either. I
No.
love his work. I don't love the text on the rocket.
Yeah.
I like the idea behind it.
So okay, so stuff I do like. I like the edition size. I think for an artist with this sort of depth to his sales history, I think you might even be able to go a little higher, Jose. Maybe you could even bump it up to like 40.
Yeah, he's got 24 each volume traded on a collection, right? Like,
yeah, you've got a deep collection, a deep collector list. I would say maybe go a little higher on the edition size. And that's something maybe worth thinking about, is that you want to have enough. You want to have enough that the people who want them can get them, but not so many that you have too many for the size of your audience. You ready to move on to the next one?
yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay. So next one, Mudhit Mira. I think hopefully I'm saying that right. And also just the previous one. Hopefully I'm getting this right, but I'm saying Jose because it's, you know, it seems like Jose, but I've never talked to him in a space, so I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. So I apologize after mispronouncing your name wrong if I've been doing it for the wrong for the whole time. Meanwhile, let's move on. So Mudhit Mira, hopefully I'm saying that one right too. This one, we got a little bit less details, but let's just kind of look at the piece because I don't know that we have great details. Mountain Model is the name of this one, and we didn't have a description written out. just some questions, but they were thinking addition of 20 at 0.03 ETH and minting it.
Yeah, so that's a valuation of 0.6.
Yeah. So let's. I'm gonna pull up the artist's other work.
I love this artist's work.
Do you remember we reviewed this one too?
I do. So his valuation is actually 6 times his one of one. I like that one right there. That Soulful Sky. I was like, if I had ETH, no, the other one, the next one, the black one.
Yeah. I remember when we looked at this before.
0.1, like the 0.1, 186 USD right now. Like if I had that on spare, like we just buy this as a 1-1. I really love this image.
Yeah.
And so
I like this one. I already hearted it last time we looked at it. Yeah. So okay. So when we look at kind of just overall, looking at the artist, what they have out there. Also, anybody else have a weird OpenSea doing weird stuff and displaying differently?
Yes, mine's displaying differently.
Yeah. So this is all the work that they have out there on OpenSea right now, just this collection.
All right, so how many are sold versus how many are not sold? 1, 2, 3 are sold. 4. So, almost half of the collection is sold. Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, Boss Mom says that OpenSea tweeted today saying it's their new display. I'm noticing one of my accounts has the new display, the other one has the old one. Okay, so let's go back to here. So this is really a really different look from what I'm going to say he has put out before. And I'll just read this. So currently my Genesis collection has 6 unsold works, and the first 6 collectors will get pictures from my Genesis collection at half price. Also, they have the flexibility to choose which photograph they want from the Genesis collection of mine. Also, the owner of the edition will get whitelist to see the upcoming collection before public drop.
So he's willing to sell those one of ones now for 0.05 instead of 0.1, which I actually already think is pretty low. If for the first 6 so he is trying to use this edition to incentivize selling out his other collection, but it makes me question how come you weren't able to sell out the other collection at such a low price point, and what makes you think that you will be able to sell out 20 editions of this without your ability to be able to sell out those one of ones that have been around for a really long time.
Right.
Maybe because it's a heavy editions market. I mean, it would be great for you if you could sell 20 of these at 0.03, because 0.6 ETH is the same thing as selling out your whole one of one collection.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So he has a question here. Editions of well-known people in the NFT get easily sold. Will it work for small artists? I believe that I have a good photograph for edition. How do we promote editions? Would like to have your feedback on edition size and title. So you just asked, how would Mike, you just said, how would you expect this to do well when you haven't been able to sell out the other one? And
I think I know how.
You didn't say it like that, but you said, you were kind of implying, like, hey, if you haven't been able to sell out the other thing, how are you going to sell 20 of these? And I think that there is a sense for people that they want to get in on this edition thing because it's hot right now and people are buying editions. The market is slow. One of ones are a little harder to sell for a lot of us. Editions seem to be a more accessible price point, easier for people to wrap their heads around, right? This might be a way for artists who have kind of struggled to sell one of ones at the 0.15 to 0.5 range. This might be a way for them to get some traction,
to recognize him. I totally agree with that. I think it's a beautiful image too. I love I love how it has like this 3 gradients of like greens going into orange, going into and then has that single cloud and this majestic, this majestic animal, looking out into the horizon. It's definitely a beautiful shot. It's definitely different from his other work. It's
Yeah.
similar to his other work as far as like aspect ratio and scale goes, but it's different in the idea that we went from black and white to a very saturated image.
I kind of want to
You
know
know,
what is the animal.
I don't know. I
I
don't
want
know
to
what
know
kind
that.
of animal.
I want a description, and I want to know what that animal is because I'm
Yeah.
looking at it and I'm thinking I don't think it's a llama. I don't think it's like an alpaca, but it kind of has that vibe. It's some kind of crazy hairy goat, But it's given me sort of he says it's a goat. It kind of has like the Emperor's New Groove sort of vibes to me. So I don't know if any of you like I imagine that goat sitting up there smiling.
See, the way I see this selling out is at 20 images. When he's had trouble just selling 10, is the community helping? Like that's how I see it. I mean, I see this selling out by, a few MetaJungle members purchasing this, then retweeting about how it's a beautiful edition, only 0.03, and it might take you a week to sell 20 at 0.03, but I think it probably takes more than just you promoting it yourself. It's probably going to take a few sales to also promote it, and because I think the image is great. It's just that I wonder about your presence and engagement with the lack of ability to sell one of ones that actually are really good at 0.1. So I
Right.
mean, in the case of this, like whereas with some other artists, I said, oh, you could probably raise the price or raise either stuff. In this case, you might want to do this one at 10 editions at 0.03. Get yourself zero point 0.3. Use the first three people that buy to get 50% off of your other ones. And then if that does really well, release another edition at 10 at 0.03, and then get the rest of your collection,
Yeah.
your one-of-one collection sold out. That is probably my safest piece of advice for you. Not to say that 20 can't sell out, because you may be really surprised that maybe it does, and I don't know, but I can only give you what I'd like to deem as like safe advice, and that's
I
would be
agree.
my safe advice.
I agree. Also, he added that it is a goat, and whenever you go near them with a camera, they start to pose, and that's why he gave the image
Wow.
the title of mountain model. So I
Wow.
actually really like that. You need to use that in your description.
Yeah.
But I like it, and I agree, Mike, that I think having a slightly this is the part that's a little hard. You never want to tell people like, hey, you're aiming too high, but I think it's great to try to be a little ambitious, and yet also try to land a win for yourself. So selling like 10 of them, if you can like set it, say, hey, I'm selling 10 of these, and keep the price at a good spot and just promote it, promote it, promote it, promote it. Now you've got 10 new people who've bought your work, and the next time you come out with new work, all 10 of those people have a vested interest in seeing you succeed. And that's how you grow it. Anyway, you want to move on?
Yeah. Mhm.
I like it. I like it. That actually, one other thing I was going to mention, I would crop it so that this is centered in the middle of the image.
See it again. Oh, so that the goat is centered?
Yeah, I want the goat, the
Trying to-
cloud to be kind of centered. So I would crop in like about to here, maybe.
Yeah, it might make it more strong. I'll have to see
Maybe
it.
even cut a little bit off the top just to make this middle part a little bit punchier, a little more central.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So the next one is Craig Riley. Craig's is a little different, and I'm just gonna flat out say this: the image that I put on here, Craig has already sold a few of this one, but he also has some other editions in the same collection, and I'm gonna pull that up here so we can look at it. To mark Craig's 46th birthday, so he has some other pieces. These two are not for sale yet. But this is the one that he put up in, kind of submitted. So just know that this is here. There's some context here.
My favorite is actually the orange white cube.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I like
Mhm.
it a lot. So let's look at what he said. So to mark Craig's 46th birthday, three of his most recognized photos have been minted as editions at an affordable price on his own smart contract with an extended editorial usage license. Blue Moon is the one that he put up here first, taken at MAAT Lisbon. So I'm guessing that's a museum. That's in Portugal. October 2016. Editions 46 because it's his birthday, right? That's how old he is. Here's his license description. Um, and then the way he was thinking about doing it is there's 46 of one, 21 of another one, and 5 of another one with different pricing for them. And then the first person to collect image 2, young and green, that's the with the basketball hoop, will receive an airdrop of image 3, the white cube with the orange. Anyone owning all 3 images will receive an airdrop of a future drop to mark 1 year in the NFT space of an image titled White Lions, which will be an edition of 12. First of all, I'm just going to say it's a little confusing to me.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's very ambitious. I
Yeah.
love the work. I think the artist is a phenomenal artist with, mystery and shapes and abstraction. Um, so the original blue image is a 2.3 evaluation, right? When you take 46 and you times it by 0.05, you have 2.3 ETH. So that's what it would be valued at if it were a one of one. And then you have to add the valuation of the other two images too. If you do that, we're probably looking more between three and 3.5 or 3 and 4 ETH. So let's see how he's done so far.
He's already sold 15 of the blue one.
Sure. So he sold 15 of the blue one. I think he's a pretty well-known artist. So I actually went and I investigated and I looked at his foundation, and he has sold an image on foundation for over 1 ETH. So sometimes this could be done with people who actually have like a really good following and have some iconic pieces on the market that have sold. So
Yeah. Yeah, he has some definite great work, and I thought this was an interesting one to review because even though it's already minted, there is an interesting, kind of structure for how he's doing it. And
yeah, innovative way of doing
yeah,
it that I haven't seen.
and these are the kind of things. So, there was a little controversy yesterday with somebody releasing editions and a one of one of the same image side by side. And I think it's just
Yeah.
good that everybody's being experimental with editions. And not to not to say an opinion on that because we all know our chief MetaJungle guy Alpha had some opinions about it. But I think it's good to know that editions are going to be a place where people are going to experiment, and
Yeah.
you should be ready for that. And I think I would like to encourage that as you think about how you're going to make them, there's two things to think about. In marketing, there's this idea that there's a couple different schools of thought. That one is if you give too many people too many options, they just shut down and walk away and they won't decide. The other thing is that if you're going to give people price options, you oftentimes want to give them 3 options and trust that people are going to most likely land on the middle one. The one that's not the cheapest and not the most expensive, the one in the middle that feels like well, I'm not buying the cheap one, but I'm also not buying the high end one. I'm right in the middle. And so you got to remember that if you start to make things complicated, people may shut down. So your options need to be really easy to decide. And that my only thought here is that which buying one gives you an airdrop of one of the other ones. Here's what I want to know: do you also sell the other two? If you
Yeah, I'm
collect
a little
image,
confused. I'm a little confused because white cube orange is my favorite, right? And so it says the first person to collect the number 2 one, like that basketball one, like I would collect that if I knew I was going to get white cube orange for free. But like I went on there and I don't even have the ability to purchase it, so I'm a little
which
bit
is
confused.
fine, right? These are supposed to be pre-mint. Oh, he also just said he airdropped 13 of Blue Moon to previous collectors as a thank you.
Okay, So does
Yeah.
Blue Moon have to sell out for me to even have the ability to buy the middle one so that I could get the one I really like for free?
Yeah. See, that part's not clear.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. So that almost shuts me down a bit. It's like, oh, okay, like I might move on and look for the next edition or something.
Yeah. So these are the kinds of things that I think are worth kind of considering. Is it maybe you don't want to get too smart for yourself for your own good, and make things too complicated. I think it makes sense to kind of think about how do you get people to say yes, I want to be part of this. Like how do people do that? I know the blue one's available right now. That's cool. But how do you? When is young and green become available?
Yeah.
And here's another thing to think about, Craig. What about doing a bundle of all three? I know you said you're going to airdrop image 3 if you buy number 2, but is there also a way for you to say, what if you want all 3 of them? What if you just want to buy all 3? Is there a bundle package deal if you just say, hey, I'm buying the blue one, and for an additional 0.2 or 0.3 or whatever, you also get you just get all 3 of them, and you could just bundle those in OpenSea.
Yeah, and so here's what I'm confused about. So there's a price 0.05, so that's for Blue Moon, right? So then there's the next price is 0.0521, and does that price start after Blue Moon sells out?
Right. I don't know that. So he's commenting in the chat, and I think maybe he hasn't figured that out yet.
Yeah, and then there's 0.196. That's pretty much, let's just call that 0.2.
That's a year. That's the year he was born.
Yeah, I understand, but he's trying to sell that last image for 0.2, and that's going to be an addition of 5.
I'm
Yes,
thinking his other pricing, I think, is his birthday.
Yeah, so he's going to sell that one at 0.2 basically, and that's an addition of 5. So there's less addition, so he's charging more for that one. I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 46, 21, 5. Yeah, all the numbers. Look at all the numbers. 46 years old, the 25th of May, and then 05, 0.0521, 1976. Right? So these are all, he's being clever with his pricing. Edition sizes. I get it. I get what you're doing there, Craig. It's cool. I think you got to tell that story. You got to figure out how do you tell the story of exactly what all this means. And maybe you have in tweets and I just didn't see it. But my gut is think about a way to bundle these. You've got an audience base already. So maybe there's a way to bundle these and get a bunch of people to buy all 3, something like that. But cool. Oh, and he says, no, Blue Moon doesn't have to sell out. Was going to promote Young and Green tomorrow about being listed this weekend. Okay.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. It's great work, Craig, first of all. Second of all, I love all of the stuff here. Just make sure that you're not getting too smart for your own good, and that you make it easier for people to figure out exactly how do I give you money. Like that's what you want people to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
You ready to move on?
I am. He said it's invaluable, so that means we're ready to move on.
Excellent. I got to go down here and heart that one before we move on. Okay. Next one is Mauricio Thompson. And I'm just going to say right off the bat, as soon as I saw this image in the submissions, I was like, oh, we have to include that one. This is super cool. So Mauricio Thompson, this is, I don't know how you pronounce this. It is, I know that
I think it's like Yosemite almost.
Yeah.
And
he said, like saying Yosemite in a wrong way in Portuguese. So Yosemite I don't know how you'd pronounce it, but in 1991, my Brazilian parents were on a road trip across the USA and brought me a white teddy bear from Yosemite National Park as a gift in a bag from the local store. I don't have many young childhood memories, but I remember this one perfectly. Yosemite, I've named it like saying Yosemite in a wrong way in Portuguese because that's how I read it on the tag. Today, 25 years later, he came back home. It's the same as the collection description, I guess, but including artist name, number of editions, year, and all the info along with the story. There's going to be 25 of them priced at 0.025. Holders are eligible to unlock exclusive loyalty airdrops and early access to future releases. Is 25 a good number? of editions for scarcity. I'm planning to save 5 of them for the next collectors of my one-of-one collection. The Adventures of Amanda, still with only 1 sale. Is this a good move? Should I create my own contracting manifold? I also plan on having some reserved pre-sale for my fellow Artverse holders. Could do something similar to MetaJungle friends or the AMA listeners. How about that? So what do you think? And I'm gonna
I really like the photo a lot.
yeah, it's a cool photo, right?
I love the story, and I love that I could see that this teddy bear is like 25 years old. Like he
Yeah,
looks, he's got that, he's got that look to him, and the photo feels like it's shot on film. It feels very nostalgic. I think it could connect to a lot of people. It like reminds me of like my childhood. It's really beautiful. So I think it connect to a lot of people, and I think the artist is having a very hard time selling one of ones, but maybe this could be like a little breakthrough for this artist, and maybe the edition will do really well for them.
yeah. So I'm pulling up here this series.
So I'm a little confused by the fact these aren't self portraits because the name is Mauricio, and is it are you taking these pictures of Amanda,
Yeah.
or is this Amanda taking pictures of herself?
No, Mauricio, I'm pretty sure I don't want to imply relationships here, but these
I
people
figured
travel
that.
together a lot. So I'm assuming this is maybe girlfriend or wife.
Okay.
Mauricio is a dude. I can tell that by looking at his profile. Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
but obviously, she's not afraid to pose. She just doesn't want her face in the pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks familiar. That looks like
Well,
that's probably taken the same day, right?
might have been. Yeah. How's that feel?
So I get a couple thoughts here. I just want to pull up Mauricio's overall profile. So yeah, see, there he is. He's a dude. Um,
Cool.
I want to see if there's other collections. It looks like it's just that one collection. Yeah, here. This is the way I would think about how to use this one. This is a great opportunity for you to. You mentioned Artverse. You mentioned MetaJungle. I think that if you promote this one in the Artverse Discord with everybody there, and with that group of people, there's a pretty decent chance you'll end up with some people picking it up, and that's going to end up landing you with some collectors who will go, oh, cool, okay, I now I know what your work looks like, and I know what you do. This is kind of fun. It has this touristy sort of travel-y thing to it when you think about how it looks, but also the description, which I think kind of ties back to your other work. And I think that you could use this as a sort of a jumping off point to get more collectors looking at your work. And the fact that you already mentioned that you're an Artverse member, I think helps. I think that's going to give you a I'll tell you flat out, being part of that and being part of MetaJungle helped me sell my edition. So definitely use those two things. That gives you a little bit of a leg up on how to pre-market this before you drop it. What do you think about that,
Yep.
Mike?
Yeah. I think so. I think yeah. I think it can. I think it can do really well. What's the valuation? So 25 at 0.025. 0.025 times 25. 0.625.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
What I like about the price is I think that I know we've told everybody, hey, you maybe are pricing these a little too low. I think in this case, because you've only had a couple sales, I think it might not be a bad idea to keep the price lower and see if you can drum up some volume here. You
yeah,
know,
and
I like 25. I like that it's 25 years later, 25.025. I kind of like that.
I do
I think
too.
it
Yeah.
makes for a compelling story. Um, yeah.
I think we, I think really push the story when you promote this one, and I'll definitely retweet this and like push how it's like a really beautiful nostalgic story to me, and how I think it's a great one of one, and how I think it's a great addition, and I think that's ultimately how a lot of people that don't have a lot of engagement, presence, and stuff like that, we'll be able to get more eyes on them and get their editions sold out is by community help. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
yeah.
I'll throw something else out there. I think that while we've kind of talked a little bit about that it drums up a collector base, but also when you start thinking about, a little bit of utility. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. I told everybody if they bought my edition that I just did that I released a week and a half ago, that anybody who bought it was automatically whitelisted for the collection that's related to it. So it's called Badlands Awakening. It is the first image from a trip to Utah, to the kind of the Badlands weird desert moonscape area in eastern Utah. I'm going to release a collection of photos from that same area. And so what I said is, hey, you're all whitelisted. And then I added, oh, by the way, you're going to get a discount. And then I added, oh, by the way, you're also going to be seeing early iterations of the collection. They actually get to help decide what pieces are included, where it gets minted, those sorts of things. So I'm kind of creating a small community around my next collection with the one I'm releasing, with the edition I released. So I think it's good to kind of think about how can you use this edition to drum up that next community that will support your next thing you're going to put out.
Yeah, and I think before putting out this edition, I would call down. I know this is about editions. I would call down your one of one body of work.
Right.
There's just a lot of pieces of Adventures of Amanda. And how many pieces are in 55? I mean, you go from some really great shots in here to some mediocre ones. And so I would be very honest with myself, look at this collection and say, okay, look through it and just say to yourself, hell yes, I want to keep this, or no. And if it's a no, pull it, and maybe bring this collection down from 55 to 20 strong images, or, there's nothing wrong with bringing the collection down to 10 strongest 10 images. And then when that sells out, you can add the next 10 strong ones or something. That's sort of what I'm doing with Lost in Transit. I'm not going to drop my whole 100 collection at once. So I dropped 20 and make sure most of them are sold out in pre-sale, then drop the next 20. And so I would work with a little bit of that sort of strategy. Clean this up before you release your edition and have a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Pick the best stuff. That's my best advice here.
Well, and I totally agree. I think that maybe this is something that we haven't really implicitly said here, but your edition should be, you need to think about how does the edition fit into your larger body of work. Like that's one of the really big things you need to really think about. And so that thing fits into your other body of work because there's travel involved here. And I agree with Mike on this. I would trim this down to your absolute best images and use that edition thing to kind of point people to your other work and to maybe think about what other future work you're going to do. Like this is a cool collection. It is interesting, but I feel like you could market it better. And if you clean it up a little bit, get it ready, you could potentially drive some more people to it. Cool. And I'm seeing your feedback in there, so thank you. Glad we could be part of this and get you on board here.
Yeah, that's a great feedback.
You ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next one is Wahid Akhtar. There's actually 3 images, and I'll show you all of them as we get a chance to look. But this one to me was the strongest of the 3. So this collection consists of editions of my very favorite black and white photos. It's a pack of 3 images, and each image title is mentioned in the shared document. Artist, editions, camera, lens, dimension, location, year, license. Those will be our properties. There's 15 of them. Pack of 3 images. 0.044 for Artverse and previous edition or one of one holders, 0.0555, which is whitelist presale on the 28th, and 0.0666 public sale on the 4th of June. It's going to be on OpenSea. And then there'll be, if you hold one of these, looks like you get a discounted price on future drops and editions and one of ones. And then he sold an edition of 22 last week, 22 of 22 last week. Is this the right approach to a launch? Another edition. What do you think about the quality? And here's some other work.
Yeah, let's look at his Skyline work.
Yeah.
There's some really cool Skyline stuff in here, and only one of them sold.
Yeah, this is cool.
I know Alpha purchased that second one. It was really sweet. We were both looking at this body of work, and we thought there was some really cool stuff in here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So really great work here. I'm gonna pull up this. Hopefully this doesn't get weird. Let's see.
You can see the other images.
Yeah. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one I pulled up because I thought it was the strongest. And then there's a description of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I kind of need to know because it's hard to tell what I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm inside of a museum or what.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that one too.
Yeah, this is great. This has some really nice long exposure vibes. I like it. This is great monochromatic work. I really like it. So what I think I'm a little bit unclear about is, and I'm gonna pull up. I want to look at the spreadsheet and see if I can figure out a little bit better what the intention is here. How many of what? Okay, so 15 pack of 3 images. So there's, are you saying that there's 5, there's 15 packs of 3? Is that kind of is that what we're saying? I can't really tell that. What do you think? Is that what you're kind of feeling?
15 pack of 3 images. I think that what they're saying is that there's 3 images and that they'll each be editioned at 15 each. Is that?
Well, he's typing, so let's see what he says.
I'll let him, tell us. I like these though. They're very interesting. Yeah. Very minimal, like long exposure. The tonality is really interesting. The contrast between the blacks and whites is really beautiful.
So he said 15 editions with 3 images. So essentially, I guess this is the question is, can you buy just one of them, or do you have to buy get all 3? You know, if you buy it, are you getting all 3? Or if you buy it for 0.044, if you're an Artverse holder, are you getting all 3, or are you only getting 1? Like that would be my question. Because I haven't seen anybody sell editions where they say everybody gets all 3 at one price. I've never seen it marketed like that, but I think that's kind of interesting. Oh yeah, and he says as only bundle. So the way he's going to do the edition is that it's you buy one of the 15 editions and you get all 3 images.
Wait, say that again, you buy one of the...
Yeah, so there's 15 packs and they only come as 3 images. You can't buy just one of them.
Well, you can't buy just one of them. Interesting, right. Because if you have somebody who doesn't like one of them, they might just dip and they might not buy any.
Yeah. So I mean that's something we're thinking about. But I also like the creative thinking. You know, we just talked about it on The Last Artist. I like that people are kind of dabbling a little outside the lines here, right? And thinking this is kind of cool to say I'm selling 15 and it's a pack of 3 images. That's not unheard of. That's a thing people do in the traditional art world.
Yeah, and it's and the cost is 0. So you get 3 images for 0.044.
Looks like it, yeah.
In private sale.
That's
Okay, public.
if you're an Artverse member or you own a previous edition or one of one.
Okay, so public sale is, or so let's just talk about public sale then. It's
Yeah.
0.066. That means you get each one for like 0.022.
Right. Right.
So that's
Pretty good deal.
that's a really good deal for sure.
I'm kind of curious. So he mentioned that he sold an edition of 22 last week. I want to look and see. I'm guessing that's probably on OpenSea. So let me see if I can find him.
And I'd like to know, and if you should type in chat, how did he sell the 22? How long did it take? Love to know the strategy behind it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find him on. Helps if I learn how to type. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's a nice, great image.
So he sold this one. Looks like basically sold this one out.
Now it's selling for 0.1.
Okay. To me, the other one makes sense looking at this one side by side. You've got a nice batch of collectors here who are probably going to be interested in your next one, right? Hey, we see some familiar names in here.
Sabone, yeah. Wait, did people buy more than one? Oh, Samya. How does he get verified on OpenSea? How do I get verified on?
You got Miko Lagerstadt, Alistair
Yeah.
Ben. You've got a great son, his son Sonny, yeah. So here's what I would say is that you're in a great position.
Alpha, Zach Lip, Drakey, a lot of people bought.
We share a few collectors, which is
Damn, yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I like this piece, and I think that the new ones they fit, they make a lot of sense. You just have to figure out, and you might want to ask, if you don't have already, maybe ask a few key collectors that you trust. How do they feel about the three pieces? Maybe you've already done this, but ask them what they think. Do they like all three as a batch, or do they like the ability to maybe buy one of them separately?
Get the 3 again.
Oh yeah, where did I? Here it is.
Love that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite one actually, and then maybe this one, and then third. Then I might like this one third. Although it has a lot of dimension, it's hard for me to figure out like what the subject is as easy as I can find out what the subject is in the other two.
Although look at this one and then look at this one. They're both kind of from inside the walls with something in the background.
The third one reminds me of like an on-cyber gallery a bit.
Yeah, for sure. To me, this one's my favorite by a long shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the thing to think about, Wahid, would be just double check and make sure everybody else likes the idea of the three. You've already sold an edition of 22. You've got a bunch of great collectors in there. Is 15 the right number? Is that too few? I think that might be too few. You sold 22 of the other collection. So why not think about, could you sell more of this one? I think it's very possible you could sell more of this one. And I'm just real quick, I want to look again at this. So this one sold for, what was our price on this one? 0.022. So the new one is going to be priced at 3 times that, but it's 3 images. I would maybe think about this. Let me make sure I'm looking at that. Is that the right price? Yeah. I would think about, could you do a slightly lower price for this one, but do a few more of them? Maybe instead of 15, maybe do 20. But I'm just thinking out loud a little bit here.
Yeah, why not do 20 if you have that like level of collectors, those type of people that are willing to buy, I think you can get rid of 20.
Yeah. And maybe you could Well, he asked, "Do you mean as a bundle only?" I I think so. There's two things that you kind of have to think about here. You sold your previous edition at 0.022, right? This one is essentially priced at, for public sale, it's priced at 3 times that for 3 images. So it's priced the same way, but there's only 15 copies available. I'm just saying maybe you make a few more copies available, and maybe you drop the price a little bit so it feels like a good deal. You're getting 3 images, but you're maybe only paying 0.05, something like that. This is just a thought, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me through DM. Hey, you can hit me up in the Artverse community if you want to, or in MetaJungle. Either one. I'm happy to answer questions though and help you. I like that it's this creative approach. So
Absolutely. I think he's going to do well. He's
yeah,
already doing well.
yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Well, good. Well, let's move on. We're kind of cranking along here. We might actually finish on time today.
Yeah, absolutely. Come in. Sorry, I'm still working. I'll be done about an hour. 4:15. Lila told me they at a restaurant. 4:15. Okay, I'll try. Yep. You don't need to go casual. Okay, casual. Thank you. Okay.
I love it. Doing real life stuff. Okay. So Kishav Kandel, hopefully I'm saying that right. And this is Kasav Clicks is their username. This is a collection specifically for my best works, which seems suitable for the edition release. A curious insider. While I was on a photo walk, I saw this facade of a building while I was hunting for content to capture in the streets of Kathmandu. At a glance, I loved its minimalistic feel, geometry, and the colors. And as I was framing the building, suddenly a lady popped on the center window, which for me added a human element for my frame. What I got surprised in this photograph is how her dress color got matched with the colors of blue and red on the glass. Thus, I achieved this photograph. I'm happy to share that this image was also selected as editor's pick in Lens Culture in 2020. Looks like our properties: camera, dimensions, edition, genre, lens, location, year, date. Looking at an edition of 20 at 0.025 and OpenSea. I've not minted yet on OpenSea, but planning to release this image for editions. Shall I go for one of one works first, or is it okay on this 20 of 20 edition also? Thank you. Also, I am yet to mint my first work. So this is kind of a fun one. We were chatting about this in our private chat. What a fun, we get to talk to somebody before they release their first piece of it.
Yeah. I wanted to start by saying this is my favorite photo of the day. Sorry to everyone else, some of y'all were close seconds, but I love this photo so much, and the story behind it, and the opening of the window, and the subject wearing a blue and red. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
this
good.
is fantastic, and it's so cool that this person has not released one edition, nothing yet. So this is such a cool experiment to see how an edition can be the first piece to set off this artist's sort of career in the NFT space. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's one of the things that's really fun is that you get to, it's all the stuff we've been talking about. How you get to build an audience with a nice accessible piece that's an accessible price. Everybody gets to be part of kicking. This is your Genesis. That's an interesting vibe, right? It's an interesting story, and I like that.
Yeah, I really, really do. I'm gonna promote this one for sure. I
Yeah,
really love it. So 20 at 0 point, let's see, so 0.025. So they get to set their valuation at whatever they really want because they don't really have an artist valuation yet. So 0.025 times 20, although, so that's half an ETH, which I think it's totally doable right now in this market at 0.025. That's so cheap. That's probably $40 right now with Ethereum's price today. Understand, the lower the price of Ethereum, the lower we're able to get in and buy art. Art is the cheapest right now, especially if you're coming in from USD to buy some ETH. I think it could totally be done. Imagine kickstarting this artist's NFT career with half of an ETH right off the bat. That would be so cool.
yeah, I agree. I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so this is the stuff you have to kind of think about. So um, we get to see how you're going to launch all of this stuff and how you get this going, right? So the real important parts are what is your following like? Um, how are you going to promote this? There's two things to think about here. First of all, you've got MetaJungle, and we've got an editions channel. So you can promote it there in the MetaJungle editions channel. You're going to get Mike and I both retweeting and helping you. And I don't know if you have a sense of how soon you're wanting to launch this. You don't have a date on here, so I don't know when you were thinking of going live with this. But I would maybe consider that you give yourself a little bit of time. Give yourself, a week and a half to start sharing it, start putting it out there, start thinking about taking on early sales if that's something you're interested in doing, so that when you publicly launch, you've already sold a few, or you've already reserved a few. But I think that you have a great chance to start off right and to not have that FOMO thing where you jump in. This is a really beautiful piece of art. Don't blow this launch.
Yeah, I wouldn't start off with a one of one, because starting off with a one of one usually means you got to start off with a collection of work right now in a bearish market. I think you're a great experiment starting off, especially with the image that's fantastic as an addition, and seeing how that plays out. I think 20 at 0.025 is totally doable. Although I'm not familiar with this artist. I'm not familiar with their Twitter. If we pull up their Twitter, I think that's a very important
Oh yeah,
aspect.
I pulled it up in a different window. Let me grab that.
Yeah, I want to know like what their presence looks like a little bit, and because that's gonna have something to do with how they're able to to get these sales. So a very very low following, 156. Member for how long?
2018.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really matter. We don't really know how long they've actually been active in NFT. So May 24th is a pinned tweet. Just, obviously not minted work. And then 6 hours ago, photographer show and Moody shots. This is, uh, what is that? A retweet? A retweet.
Yeah,
4 hours ago.
a lot of retweets happening here. Oh yeah, there's. Yeah, so here's, I guess this is the thing, is that so you also mentioned in over here in the MetaJungle chat that you are thinking to release next week, planning to release next week. Here's what I would do if I were you. I would start sharing this image today. Share it in the MetaJungle editions. If you have or the MetaJungle Discord editions. If you have any other Discords you're part of, share them there. Talk about the image. Mention that it's going to be coming out next week. Don't put the date in there yet. And I would say probably don't talk about the price. Don't, just share the image and say this is coming. I don't know what, Mike, you chime in if you've got any ideas here.
Yeah. Even if it takes some time to sell the 20 of them, they'll sell at that price. For the most part, when people break into the space, it takes them a really long time to sell
Oh
their
yeah.
one of one with their one of one series. So I wouldn't even worry about. I would go for it. I would go for it. And I'm not the voice of reason, and maybe running by some people. I don't want to tell you what to do. I think it's a fantastic image. It's a good time to experiment. It would be a great time to get yourself half of an ETH from those sales, and I think people will buy it. I think it's really great. I know that I'll definitely promote it, and if I have the ETH, I'm definitely buying it. I'm just always buying stuff instantly, and I keep my account low enough to the point where I can't even do anything sometimes, and so I'm at that point right now. But yeah, I love it, and I think it would be great to see somebody start off with an edition and be successful in that route, and maybe even build an editions collection that's cohesive with this style. Could be cool, like an edition collection, how I'm doing Lost in Transit, but in your own way. Yeah, and then maybe maybe then you lead into your one of ones after, and then maybe then your one of one valuation prices are higher because of how well you've done with your additions. Who knows where this goes? It's an early
Yeah,
space. It's a good time to try something out. And I think that you're a good
I agree.
candidate with the quality of work.
Yeah, I like this. I like that you have a chance to just kind of dive in and figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And that would be my advice is just drum up the interest now before you launch. And then
Yeah.
and I think that based on what Mike's saying and I will help promote it as well. If you start talking about it and tag us or not tag us but like DM me and let me know. Send me a copy of the tweet and I'll promote it. But doing those sorts of things gets people to see it and that might help a little bit with your launch.
I don't have anything else on this one. It's great.
Yeah, I think we're good. Well, let's move on. Okay, next one is Rohit Tandon. This is Rohit Tandon is a travel and creative photographer from India who loves the mountains and wanders in the wilderness to find new places and show the world how he sees it. He's been internationally awarded for his work and published at several places. Techno Holi, Colorful Madness. Holi is a festival that has always been celebrated with a lot of zeal and zest, energy and enthusiasm. After documenting this festival for a long time, I've always looked for that one frame that is 1 in a million shot for me. This year, finally, I was able to get this image. A moment of split second that you just have to be there to experience. I was able to capture it in my lens and mark the moment. This image has been published on international platforms and widely recognized. Edition 20 of 20. Techno Holi is the title. Colorful Madness. Artist and location. Oh man, all these Indian names. Nangon. I can't say that. Nandagon, Uttar Pradesh, India. And then we've got a license here with looks like our stuff down at the bottom here. I don't know what the 15 is here.
15 editions?
Oops, because he'd set up here it was 20.
Let's just go with what it says up there then.
Yeah. And then like Manifold's custom smart contract.
All right, 0.035 times 20. Its evaluation is 0.7 ETH. That's quite high. Let's see what does Rohit sell one of ones for?
Okay. So and this is one we are also I think familiar with.
Oh, these are great.
Well, wait, hang
Yeah.
on. Hang on a second. This is not.
That's not him, is it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go pull this up so you can see. We have. Where is it?
Oh no, this is.
Yeah. Remember these?
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're sort of like the Split Stories by Samya.
Don't you own one of these?
I don't actually. I wanted to, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I may have. Yeah, I've reviewed. Or I've looked at this work.
Yeah, it's so good. And so how many of those sold? Is it sold out?
Yeah, I think it's sold. Maybe there's one left.
So he sold 0.15.
All that to be said, this is an artist who's been able to sell work at 0.15.
Sure.
He's doing a second series at 0.25 of the same theme, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at.
It's just a tough market right now. It's a tough market.
It is. So that's the work there. Here's our piece. So it exists already, and there's already 4 out there. Looks like these are airdropped.
Okay.
Not sold. Is my gut on this? We can look and see. Yeah, no volume. So he airdropped them to people. And I like I said, I did include a few here that were already minted, just because I think it is interesting to talk about some of the strategies for how this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from a price standpoint, you said it landed us at like 0.7 ETH, 0.75.
Yeah, 0.7.
Like I don't think that's not unreasonable. That's actually a pretty solid number.
It's not in this market. It's not.
Yeah. I think it's really one of the most beautiful shots this artist that I've seen them put out there.
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
You've got that going for you. It's really beautiful work. And I think that you also have a pretty solid list of collectors who already own your work. Um, so the way that you have to kind of think about how you're going to put it out there and how you're going to market it is that it's a little different from your other work, but you have that existing collector base. So I think the pricing makes sense. You could maybe go a little higher, maybe 0.04, but 0.035 doesn't feel off to me, and I think 20 is the right size for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can do really well. I think it's a beautiful image too. So.
Yeah. So one thing I think it is important to talk about. So he mentioned Manifold, using Manifold custom smart contract to build this one. Is that something, Mike, when you did yours, did you do it on OpenSea or did you do Manifold to build it?
No, my Lost in Transit series is all done on Manifold.
Okay.
Something cool about Manifold is that it puts in all the EXIF data from your camera like automatically, which is really cool. It's very simple to use. It's also your own custom contract. It's nice that you set your royalties on Manifold, and if somebody goes and sells one of your images off of OpenSea, that you'll still get the royalties, whether it's on Rarible, Maker's Place, or any of those things too. And it's just, you've seen some of the things OpenSea's done with just deleting people's accounts that are from Iran and Russia and stuff like that. And I don't know. I wanted my own smart contract for my legacy series. So
I did mine on there too.
yeah, so I went that route. I mean, you don't have to. It costs you a little bit more.
Mike, did you do yours as 721s or as 1155?
I believe.
Are they numbered?
Okay. There's one. There's one of them where it keeps reprinting the same image over and over. That's not the one I did. Like I can't remember. I think I could just look right now. Actually, I could just look on my OpenSea. Tell you exactly.
I can just look.
Yeah, just go on my OpenSea and you get click under the metadata or the X. Yeah, metadata. It'll tell you. I think I did seven. I think I did the standard one. I thought it was 721.
I can find
Could be
you.
wrong.
This isn't the right one, but I can find you from here.
No, now I'm thinking it's 1125.
Easy to figure out.
It's not the one that Drifter Shoots did, where he had thousands of photos of the same photo on one page. I can't stand that.
Yeah. So we can talk about that. You did 1155.
Okay. Yeah.
And for anybody who wants to know how this works, when you do an edition, there are two different kinds of tokens you can do. The ERC 1155, it creates a single token, and then it creates clones of that one token. You mint it one time, and there's a bunch of clones. If you do an ERC 721, every single instance of the edition, so all the editions are their own individual token. So you have to mint each one of them separately. And you can do it in Manifold as a batch, but also you need to know this. If you're going to do your editions as ERC 721s, you have to use Manifold. You can't do that as part of the regular OpenSea contract. OpenSea only does 1155.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if I did the other one, my Lost in Transit collection would look awful with like same image like over and over and over and over again. Like you wouldn't be able to see it as a collection. You would just be able to see it as like just images everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's because of how it works. I'm going to show you one more. Intrepid. I don't know if you guys know who Robert Downey is. Robert is an Australian adventure travel photographer. I'm just going to pull up so you can see what his edition looks like. I own one, so I know it. But yeah, see here, his lightning strikes thrice. These are set up as ERC 721s.
Yeah, and if you have one image, it works better than if you have a collection of them.
But here's what's interesting is that
what's the benefit here to have this?
They're numbered, so each one has its own separate number.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit, some people think that's unique. Some collectors prefer them to be numbered like that. But you're right, they do show up as every one of them is an individual token, which is a little crazy, right?
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
too much for me. I'm a man of curation, and that bothers me.
yeah, just know that that's how it looks in his wallet. Everybody else just gets one of them. And in fact, I have one in my wallet and it just looks like a normal piece. Um, just that's when you're talking about doing the manifold smart contract, you just need to know that when you set it up, your contract is specific to the kind of token you do. So pick your 1155 or pick your ERC 721, but you got to do that at the beginning when you're first setting up your contract. We ready to move on to the next one? Do you have any thoughts on this one? Did I lose your mic?
Yeah. No, I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Okay.
I have to actually like be out in like 19 minutes because like my family's
Let's crank on this then. Okay.
going to
Next one
dinner and
is
they're just gonna leave me here. So I
yeah.
actually thought for some reason I thought we started at the normal time today at 12 CST. Then we started at 1.
We'll crank. We only have 2 left. So
So Yusuf.
Yusuf Qureshi. Yusuf is an Indian photographer who lives in Australia or New Zealand, actually. Gap to the Stars, lockdown in New Zealand put paid to any plans I had to shoot the stars. Despite the clear nights, we were all stuck inside, trying to prevent the spread of COVID in our communities. When the lockdown was lifted that night, I sped down the Watakiri Ranges to Piha Beach, where I knew this alignment was possible. This image represents freedom and our desires for creativity to produce works of art for others to enjoy and marvel at the universe. Standard properties from my OS collection alongside holders get early access to further mints. Holders may also get a portion of profits from any sale made from my other collections, depending on the number of editions hold. No more than 5 editions can be held by any one person. 25 at 0.04 on OpenSea using a manifold.
Valuation of one ETH. Yeah,
Yep.
1 ETH Ethereum valuation. So
Yeah.
So let's check out their other work and what the highest they've sold some one of ones at, or just what the climate looks like for
Yeah.
their one of one work and their
Let
sales.
me find him. He's on
You
Foundation.
could copy paste that there, that OpenCIO Astro Gaming.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it from there and it won't let me do it in that one.
Oh,
Oh,
it's on the bottom there. You should be able to copy and paste. It says OpenCIO Astro Gaming.
I can if I move it over here. Also, Yusuf asked if he can talk. I think that's cool. Yeah, if you wanna give him the mic, Goon, that'd be cool to let him talk.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm alright. Yeah, this is the very initial stages of me playing this edition. So yeah, I appreciate any feedback you guys can give, and I'll probably be changing up the description and things like that. Just to let you know about the profits thing, I'm thinking to a maximum of 5 editions behold them, you'll get a percentage of the profits to my OpenSea collection sales. So whatever ones I haven't sold, when they sold, then you'll get a certain amount per edition held.
So you're talking about actually sharing the profits from your
Yeah.
sales? Okay.
Yeah.
That's unique.
I'm thinking maybe like not very much, like maybe 1 or 2%. So if you hold this 5, it'll go up to like 10% or something like that. Still haven't quite figured it out.
Okay. So Mike, what do you think about that? So this is an edition where if you buy the edition, you actually get to share in profit from his other work. I know this is not totally unique. Yusuf and I are in a couple of chats together, so this is something that Dreadlock Traveler has done some stuff like that as well.
Yeah. I think someone recently do it with their edition. I was gonna credit them, but I cannot remember who it was.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think it was in our group.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mike, what do you think about that?
So what happened? is the profits like so if the edition if it sells out like they get a portion of the profit or something? Is that how it works?
So they'll get the profits from the my OpenSea collection sales, but only up to a certain amount. So if I'm thinking maybe if they hold 5 editions, then that's the maximum they can get for the profit. So one edition will be 1%, for example, to a maximum of 5 editions, 5%, and then each sale I have in my OpenSea collection, they'll get 5% of that sale.
So that will be a way to drum up.
I think it's really interesting. Yeah, of course.
It'd be a way to drum up interest in this collection that I'm having.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you go ahead.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of interesting. So Yusuf, this is the first time I've heard you talk about this, but yeah, the idea that you heard, I don't know if you were listening, but I've said I like the idea of people being creative with these editions. Essentially, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, if you buy one of these editions, you're kind of, that token kind of buys you shares in my future profit for this collection. I think that's interesting. I think how you promote it, who you put it in front of, is going to be really, really key, because it needs to be, you got to tie it in. It has to feel like enough of a utility or a value that people go, oh yeah, okay, cool, I get that. And when I look at, this is an interesting image. I think it's really beautiful. At 0.04, like, it could work. I almost wonder if maybe tightening up the number to 20 might make more sense. Just looking at your overall sales history.
Yeah.
Tightening it up a little bit. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
What is the sales history? I thought I seen a collection where he had like a lot of ETH volume traded, but maybe I saw that wrong.
I've had 3 sales from my OpenSea collection, I think, 3 out of 9 shots, and they were all around 0.1, 0.15 ETH, and I've had 1 sale on my foundation.
Okay, so see, so seeing.
Oops.
Yeah, so seeing something different. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a little ambitious. Then I think you come down to, I mean, you come. I think I'll be honest. I'd probably come down to 20 at 0.035.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one,
I don't know.
Yeah, let me speak to that a little bit. So, Yusuf, what I'm seeing is you sold this one for 0.11. You've sold some other ones at 0.1. So am I correct in assuming there's 4 pieces you've sold total?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So if I'm thinking about that, what I would probably look at is, I think that, not to say 0.04 is like, the work is definitely worth 0.04. So not to say that it's not, that you need to charge less, but I think I would love to see you have a win. I'd love to see you get this thing sold and have people go, yeah, this is great, and have it be an interest to people, more people seeing your work. And I think if you reduce the number of these just a little bit,
long-term success. I'm sorry, I interrupt. Long-term success is better than the short-term gains.
For sure.
So like selling out 20 faster at 0.035 might do a lot more for you. Like, 0.035, sell out 20, and I think that might do more for you in the long run than maybe sitting at 0.04 at 25 for a much longer time. That could happen.
I totally agree. And also, if you have any, totally, you got to get back to work. That's cool. I also know that, reach out if you've got any more questions. You know how to get in touch with me, DM us, because I like the idea of this profit share thing. I just think you really think about how that's going to work and how you're going to track that. Think about the logistics of it. Like that's my biggest concern. And I think it could be really awesome. I just want you to really wrestle through that before you launch it and before you put it out there, because you don't want to be beholden to people in the future if you haven't thought it through well and it's hard to track. But cool, I like it. Mike, you want to move on to this last one and we'll wrap it up so you can get off to lunch, everybody?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna leave without me in like 10 minutes.
Okay, let's do this then. The next one is Thomas or Tomas Milan. It's fairly long, but I'm just going to tell you that it's actually a video time lapse.
It's like it's a time lapse combined with like editions, right?
Yep. I'm gonna see if I think I downloaded it, so I'm gonna see if I can find it in my. Yeah. Okay. So I did download it. I'm just gonna drop it in here. See if it'll. Can you see that?
Yes. Oh wow, cool. Just a quick one.
Yeah, it's cool. That's really, really interesting, right?
Yeah.
So he's also adding music to it. I'm guessing that's just playing way faster than it's going to. The curtain. Okay, so I'm going to read this. At night, the curtains of the day are drawn back, and the universe is revealed. From celestial bodies and shooting stars to dancing auroras in the Milky Way, there's always something to admire and appreciate. Night Sky Editions is a collection of astrophotography editions celebrating the beauty of our night sky. I'm going to skip some of this just because I want to be able to talk about the edition. This is fantastic. I like it. There's all kinds of great kind of poetry involved here, and I only want to skip it because I want to make sure we get to talking about the edition. So, collectors of the edition will get early access to future drops, extended editorial license. That typo is mine, not his. I trimmed this a little bit to make it fit. 10 to 5 editions of an image NFT, 5 to 10 editions of a video time-lapse NFT. So there'll be 2 different versions of it. A still at 0.025, and the video will be 0.03. Minted on OpenSea, collectors will get early access to future drops. And he says in a recent Twitter space there was a discussion around combining both still images and videos in the same edition collection. Alpha offered an example where you could mint 10 to 15 editions of still, along with a smaller number of video editions, resulting in more scarcity around the video editions. Yeah, I think this is super interesting.
Yeah, I think the work is beautiful too.
Yeah.
To
me, I find if I were looking at this and I were thinking if I want to buy it, I would for sure, if I were considering it, I would do the time lapse version. Like that would be how I would think about it. The price difference is not enough for me to even consider the still version. Here's what I have a thought here. I would price the video at twice the price of the still, and I would offer a bundle to buy both of them at a slightly lower price than buying them both separately.
I agree with you. I think the time lapse is just really unique and strong to me that it outweighs the still image of this one. I've seen so many still images of the aurora borealis, but I haven't seen like a really, really cool time lapse like that. And I think that's something that can do really well as an addition, especially at that price point.
Yeah. So that's kind of my advice on it. I actually think it's really great work, and I would think about, because there's going to be 2 of them, and something really interesting to watch. Sarah Lindsay, who's a good friend of ours here in the MetaJungle family, is launching a new edition that I'm pretty sure just sold out in yesterday. And she's launching it as a series of 2 images, and you can buy bundles of the 2 images. I'm buying some. Spoiler alert.
Nice.
I was on the white list, but here's the way I think about it is that it's you might want to think about bundling the video and the still.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Offering it as a bundle for like, a small discounted price or something.
And then one of the things that could be cool is you might see that people actually want to sell one of them to pay for the package. And I know that's something Sarah's talked about. She's promoted that, like, buy the two for the discounted price and then flip one if you want.
Yeah, it's really unique in the time lapse.
Yeah. What are the? Do you have any other thoughts here? I'm gonna. I do want to pull up some of his other work here.
We just have to go with some closing thoughts on everything as a whole. With other work is more portraiture.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up his. Oh yeah, so here, look at this. Here's some landscapes.
Like the
And
black and white landscapes a lot.
It seems like did we review these?
I haven't reviewed that. That one on the right is really cool though. Look at that. Rise and a fall. Yeah. Wow.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, great properties and all that.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely a stronger fan of the landscape work than the portrait, black and white, street stuff. I think the artist is really, really good at seeing the landscape and having all the layers flow together and create that story through the landscape.
Yeah. Well, so here's a thought. I think this definitely fits into your other work. It's actually maybe a step above in some ways. And I like the idea of you really working through how you present the idea that there's two separate versions, and just consider bundling. Consider that offering if people want to buy both. I think that's a really strong strategy. Do you have any other thoughts on this one, Mike, before we wrap things up?
No, I think it's really great. I'd love, I think the time lapse is the stronger version, but if you can figure out a way to get that bundled up, then that can be really cool too. And I definitely promote something like that, especially the time lapse. I really like it. It's very different. So really enjoy that. Yeah, my family's about to leave in like 2 minutes. I want to just kind of like wrap up with some closing thoughts, I guess, if I could.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's this is really cool. So this is our first AMA on editions, and I know editions are really hot right now, and there's a lot of FOMO, and people want to react impulsively and get their editions out there and stuff. And I've made mistakes. Many of us have made mistakes, and this is sort of a good way to sort of step back, hit the pause button and review some of this stuff and get an idea of like what the things are that we should be looking at, right? Like we talked about, there's a lot of advantages like price point, the ability for more people to own a piece, and it keeps collecting alive during a bear market. It's been really great, but at the same time, you have to look that there are some disadvantages. You could saturate the market with a lot of additions and then not sell them out and have a lot of work flooded into the market. So being really careful about one, choosing a really, really fantastic photograph, one that also should speak to your work as an individual artist, and then also keeping the scarcity at a level where for your engagement what you can and cannot, what ability you're going to have to be able to get those sold out. And so yeah, I think I really enjoyed this talk today, and hopefully we can do more of these like pre-edition mint launches. And I hope that I feel like today is going to bring a lot of sales and eyes on some of these mints that are about to happen. So once again, I always love doing these with you, Dan. It's been really great. You put together an amazing, presentation here and helped a lot of people. So thanks for that.
Oh yeah, you bet. I'm stoked to do this together, and yeah, for sure we need to do more together and more about these editions. And I think also doing some pre-mint stuff for collections at some point might be fun too.
Absolutely, for sure. I agree.
Good. Okay, well, have a great time with your family, and To everyone else, so appreciate you being here.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care.